environment of being active and getting out there and having fun at the same time. So I think for anyone who's watching this today, come and join next time to become a part of it. You won't regret it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Well, welcome to the live pictures of the 2024 Burj2Burj Half Marathon. It is the inaugural running between the two iconic icons in Dubai, that being the Burj Al Arab, just where the course will be starting, and then going through a very scenic and fast course, finishing outside the Burj Khalifa, one of the most iconic icons in the Dubai skyline, and standing at just short of 830 meters, the tallest structure in the world. We can see there live pictures from the start line. Stain there in the colors of Adidas, the South African athlete there on the left-hand side of the picture, multiple national record holder in the marathon for South Africa. She's made Dubai her home base, and it'll be interesting to see if she can get another record here today.
Final warm-ups. You guys need to keep busy, keep moving, guys. Mobility stretches, please. Keep moving.
All right, final call, please, all runners into the start pens, please. Someone, we're going to keep chasing all the athletes into the start pens, please, because we are shortly going to be going live on the live stream, and we want to make sure we've got those incredible visuals of you all in the start.
Assalamu alaikum, gentlemen. Welcome to the heart of Dubai for the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon.
As soon as possible. Thank you.
A spectacular event that seamlessly blends athleticism and mental prowess. This really isn't just a race, it really is an experience that will take runners on a journey between two of the world's most iconic structures and the Khalifa. The vision for the Emirates NBD Burj Half Marathon is to create another race, but rather redefine the entire experience for the athletes in the Middle East and around the world. As this morning, they will kick off their journey on Street, unmistakable Burj. Really not just a host, it's a symbol of Dubai's commitment to luxurious tourism and opulence. Once our runners take the journey, they will pass some key landmarks that really made Arab Emirates what it is today. The route takes participants along the picturesque Jumeirah Beach Road, providing breathtaking views of the Arabian Gulf. As runners progress, they will cross over the canal and pass by the impressive Big Flag and the Etihad Museum, steeped in the heritage of Dubai. The course then leads over the Sheikh Zayed Road, offering an electrifying atmosphere with live bands and entertainment. And of course, the grand finale, our runners end their journey in the shadow of the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building at a staggering 828 meters. A real symbol of Dubai's ambition and innovation. Burj Khalifa, perfect stage for our runners to cross the finish. Now, the post experience is equally rewarding, offering an athlete zone with food and beverage for all the family, live music, entertainment, and well, a party for all as they celebrate completing the very first edition of the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. This really is something special, a new iconic race in the United Arab Emirates, and it's really taken the world by storm. On this first edition of the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon, and what are your expectations from today's race?
Yes, thanks, Amy. I think we're going to be in for an exciting race. It's a very fast and flat course, and we have quite a nice elite field assembled in this inaugural race. Of course, the athletes coming through from Kenya and Ethiopia, as well as South Africa's Stain, who's made herself a home base there. $3,000 US up for grabs for the victor this morning, and of course also a $1,000 bonus should we see a male run under an hour this morning. And if one of the female elite athletes go through to the finish in under 1 hour and 10 minutes, there'll also be an extra $1,000 on top of that prize money. So a field of just under 4,000 in total this morning. And Amy, I think we're going to see some exciting racing up front.
Absolutely. And of course, with it being a half marathon, we are expecting multiple PBs. And the way the course is set up, Kieran, you know, looking at the course itself, it could quite easily create PBs being possible for the runners here today.
Most definitely, you know, a very, very fast and flat course, starting just outside the Burj Al Arab, and it's one of the only 7-star hotels in the world. It's fast, it's flat, and runners will definitely be able to take it all in this morning along those coastal roads of Dubai. We've seen earlier this year in the Dubai Marathon, some really fast times were run there in the 42.2 kilometer. So the runners, as you can see there on the start line, are looking excited to get going. We'll have the elite men that will be starting off first at 6 o'clock, followed by the elite women at 2 minutes past 6, as we see the graphics there of some of the elites, followed by the rest of the field at 5 minutes past 6.
So just to confirm, ladies and gentlemen, just having a look at the track here and the route that our runners will be taking here today. So we will be starting at the Burj Al Arab. It is the iconic building that is shaped like a sail. And then the runners will make way towards Jumeirah Beach. Jumeirah Beach is a very iconic area in Dubai and the United Arab Emirates. The race along Jumeirah Beach is with stunning views of the Arabian Gulf. Picturesque coastline really reflects Dubai's commitment to creating recreational spaces, promoting a healthy lifestyle, and of course heading to Dubai Marina, towards Dubai Mall, with the Dubai Fountain in the background, and then the towering Burj Khalifa as well. A wonderful ending for our runners here today. I mean, Kieran, we've seen many marathons, half marathons, starting to come over to the UAE. You know, the UAE has really created a platform for the community to really focus on their fitness, health and well-being, really developing over the last few years. And in particular, we look at the RAC half marathon, which did a few years back, and that has become so popular. So we do know that half marathons are a very popular for the runners across, but in particular in the UAE.
Burj2Burj, what a vibe. Let me tell you, the people are getting into the start chutes, close on 4,000 runners, and listen to this, close on 113 countries represented. It's going to be absolutely wild. 21.2 kilometers. Just in front of me here is the Burj Al Arab, the starting point, and then we run along the beach, along the coastline for 14 kilometers before we turn right and meander our way into the heart of the city and the finish line under the beautiful Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. It's going to absolutely fantastic. We're expecting a winning time for the elite athletes today. They're going for that 60-minute for the elite men, and the women are going to try and get under those 68 minutes. So it's going to be absolutely wild. We hope all of you back home are going to enjoy this, and that you're going to put this on your 25, because this is a great way to start your running year. Right here behind me, we've got Ross of the crew. Ross, come in. Ross, how's it, mate? Tell us a bit about what's happening behind us.
Okay, so what we're doing is, instead of just running the 21K, we've decided to carry stretchers. On each stretcher, there's 50 plus kilograms, and this is to raise awareness for my best friend Ty, who was injured in a motorcycle accident almost exactly a year ago. Tomorrow will be exactly a year ago. He's now paralyzed from the chest down. So we thought, let's do it with a bit of a difference. Let's make it an extra challenge. Let's raise some awareness, drum up some support for Ty, and hopefully, you know, build his GoFundMe so that he can pay for his rehabilitation and his recovery.
where can guys find out a bit more about that GoFundMe process?
So if you have a look on our Instagram page, we are DMC. That stands for Dead Man's Click. It's a collection of people who look at grim in the eye on a daily basis. You'll find the link to the GoFundMe there.
Tell us a bit about how many people you've got in your party, and obviously 2 stretches. You guys going to be taking turns along the route?
Absolutely, yeah. So we managed to drum up about 20 guys who are just missing a couple of screws in there. Each stretcher has about 10 guys and about 50, 60 plus kilograms. We're just going to rotate through the positions on the stretcher.
All right. There we go. Good luck, Ross. Thanks very much, and good luck to you and your guys. There you have it, everybody. It's that simple. Super people doing incredible things for incredible causes. That's what it's all about here at the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj Half Marathon. We cannot wait to bring you the action. Let's get ready to go. Back to the studio to Amy and Kieran.
Thanks, Matt. The atmosphere there, well, it's certainly increasing, and multiple people making their way across the wonderful heart of Dubai to get ready to start Burj Al Arab. Just conducted, you know, it's all about raising awareness. So much focus on tolerance, sustainability, awareness, unity. You know, all these events that are being brought in to the Arab Emirates are all to unify people. The power of sport, Kieran, it's such a powerful thing to unite people from all nationalities, backgrounds, religion. You know, it really, really is a uniting the power of sport.
Definitely, you know, as Max mentioned there, just over 113 nationalities coming through this morning at the Burj2Burj half marathon. 1,221 women on the start line and 2,342 men. And running definitely has the power to bring everyone together. As we saw Max there on the start line with the athlete that he interviewed there, you know, doing all the different things there. There'll be various athletes running for charities. And Amy, as if a half marathon is not hard enough to run on its own, they're running with stretchers consisting of 50 kilograms of weight each. So that's a remarkable feat here this morning.
Absolutely. And it's all about the support we'll have for each other. You know, people going beyond to raise awareness, and it really is remarkable. So let's just have a little look at some of the lineup for the elite runners here, Kieran. So, in particular, Atalina Napul Gaspor. Can you tell us a little bit about her and maybe her PBs and her history with half marathons?
Yeah, so Gaspor is from Sudan. She's got a best time of 32 minutes over the 10-kilometer distance, so really fast there. Her half marathon best is 1 hour and 10 minutes, so she'll be looking at trying to better that this morning. Of course, there's that $1,000 extra bonus if the ladies go under 1 hour and 10 minutes. The same for the men. If they can break that magical 1 hour mark, that would be a tempo of 2 minutes and 50 seconds per kilometer. So very, very fast running. We've got some top men in the field as well. I think one of my favorites will undoubtedly be Josephat Kiprop Kiptis from Kenya. He hails INI 10, where he trains at an altitude of just over 2,400 meters above sea level. He's run 7:54 over 3,000 meters. He's got a 13:39 5,000 meter, but it's his half marathon of 60 minutes and 21 seconds. Although set all the way back in 2015, he's still in really, really good shape, finishing second in the Hanover Marathon in 2022 and winning the Gran Canaria Marathon in Spain last year in November, running a time of 2:16. So that was only about 2 months ago, and you can tell that he'll be bringing that shape into the Burj2Burj half marathon this morning. And although we don't have any pacemakers on the course this morning for the elites, we do have for the rest of the field. I think we're going to see some fast running from the start, Amy.
Yeah, well, thanks for that information, Kieran. And just in particular, looking at Josephat there. You know, if you look at his current world ranking position for men's road running, he's 386th in the world, and it really is quite remarkable the number of elite runners that have made their way here today. And it just goes to show that, you know, it's not just the UAE, the Burj2Burj half marathon. The news has spread all across the world. It's not just the marathon. It's fantastic to see different runners making their.
Definitely, you know, the inaugural running of the Burj2Burj half marathon, and it's already attracted some big interest from some of the world's best athletes. As we see Gerda Steyn there on the right-hand side of the picture, she's the South African national record holder in the marathon, running a time of 2 hours and 24 minutes and 3 seconds. That was on the 3rd of December last year in Valencia. And her PB at the half marathon set here in Dubai at the Ras Al Khaimah half marathon, 1 hour, 10 minutes and 55 seconds. So she may still have that marathon from Valencia in her legs, but I think definitely on the women's side, we'll see Gerda pushing the pace there and trying to gun for that sub 70-minute clocking for that extra incentive. $3,000 for the first place athletes across the line today. So very, very good prize money. In second, it will be $2,000, and the third place athlete rounding off the podium will walk away, or should I say run away, with $1,000 in their pockets.
Yeah, the prize money, you know, it's not just about the prize money, it's also about the experience, but it is a nice Brucey bonus to walk away with the likes of $3,000 for first place. And, you know, I think it just shows the profile of the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. You know, money already there for the elite athletes to grab. You know, I think it is remarkable how quickly this race has developed. You know, it's their first edition, but already people are making their way to participate. And I think the world's the oyster for the Burj2Burj half marathon. I think it's only going to get bigger and better, Hume.
Most definitely, Amy. You know, a field of just under 4,000 athletes here this morning for that inaugural running, and that is a really, really good sign of things to come. It hasn't just been the action that we're seeing here this morning. There was also a kids fun run yesterday that took place in the race village, over 1.2 kilometers. So a lot of fun and exciting times here for the whole family at the Burj2Burj half marathon. And of course, once the runners do finish outside the beautiful Burj Khalifa, there is also a race village there where there's going to be live music and entertainment. There will be a beer garden, a kids zone, and just a nice space for the runners to share those war stories from this morning, as we see our elite athletes there in front. And it's almost go time.
Yes, as you just mentioned there, Q. And yesterday, the Emirates NBD mini marathon did take place, and children from across the world made way to basically run around the fountains, which is just by the Burj Khalifa, and they experienced the most iconic race, which really was an experience for them. And it was around 1.2K that the children had to run. A real fun run, that's for sure. But we are underway here, and our elite women have just taken off. And well, what a moment for the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. We are underway, and well, who's your favorite today, Hume?
I think on the men's side, definitely the two Kenyans, Josephat Kiprop Kiptus, as well as Enos Kipruto. I think those two guys are going to be the ones to look out. But Habtu Moka Legese from Ethiopia, He's got a 62:27 half marathon, so not as quick as the two Kenyans, but he's run 28:09 over 10 kilometers on the road, and I think he's going to be someone definitely to look out for. But you can already see there now that the men and women who have started together, the women have gone out really, really hard. You can see Gerda Steyn there already being dropped by the front pack, but don't count her out too early. She's a very, very experienced international athlete, and I think she's going to use that strong pedigree of her ultramarathon background to come through the field, as we see a group of 4 men in front. It is the 2 Ethiopians and 2 Kenyans setting that tempo. And Amy, as we've seen over the world, all over the world, the East Africans to the fore and doing what they do best, and that's just to run really, really fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned earlier, Ewan, it is really a flat run. You know, the UAE itself, apart from in Ras Al Khaimah with the likes of the tallest mountain, Jebel Jais, the UAE is a very, very flat country, which is really going to benefit the runners out there today. And, you know, it will enable them to pick up the pace early on and try and maintain that pace throughout today's run.
Well, we welcome all the viewers to the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon on the official YouTube channel, and we can see all your comments in the chat. A lot of people wishing their loved ones all the best for this morning. Quite a lot of comments coming through for Sebastian in his half marathon, so he looks quite popular here this morning. So you can leave your comments in the chat, and we'll be checking them out. But just a nice graphic of the route there, and the athletes now, the lead athletes would have gone through probably just towards the first kilometer mark, as we see the 4 men in front. It is still quite dark, and Amy, perhaps you know better living in Dubai. Do you think the lead men will finish before the sun comes up, just an hour's time?
Sorry, Kieran, can you just say, it just got cut off a little bit there.
Oh, sorry about that, Amy. I was just saying that the leading men now just 1 kilometer into the race, and still dark on the streets of Dubai. And with yourself being based in Dubai, do you think the leading men will be able to get through to the finish at the beautiful Burj Khalifa before the sun comes out in just under an hour's time?
I say so. Well, the sun typically rises around 6:45 here, but I think they made there for that wonderful sunrise, and what a sunrise it will be, and the silhouette of the Burj Khalifa as they make their way into the finish line.
Well, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest structure in the world, 828.9 meters, and the building is so tall that even at the speed that these top elite men are running through in the front, if they had to run from point to point on that beautiful hotel, it would take them around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So that just gives you the nature of how tall that building is. But the 3 women on your screen right now are your leaders in the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon, and it is the 2 Kenyan athletes up against the lone Ethiopian athlete, and in front, Frida from Kenya. That is Frida Chepkite Lodepa. She is 42 years old already, so a master athlete, but don't let the age fool you. Last year in Eldoret, she ran 2 hours and 40 minutes for the marathon distance. There's also the Sudanese athletes, Atalina Napule Gaspore, 70 minutes over half marathon, and then the Ethiopian Tejest Worku Anagol, who has already taken out the pace here. And you can see the Ethiopian just sticking behind the 2 athletes, the one from Kenya and South Sudan. And that's a really typical Ethiopian trait when they run. As you can see, the exact same thing happening in the men's race. the two Kenyans out front setting the tempo with the two Ethiopian athletes just sitting behind them. And we see this happen all over the world where the Ethiopians just stick into the tempo. They don't do too much of the work, but you can guarantee that if it comes down to a sprint finish, the Ethiopian athletes definitely have the kick with them coming from that track background. And it could be a bit tactical at this stage, but just going through to the finish. But Amy, your thoughts so far on the race this morning?
Yeah, thanks for that information, Kieran. And obviously, with your wealth of experience with half marathons and marathons, it's pretty remarkable all the insights and details that you have about our elite runners here tonight. And well, as we are approaching the early hours of the morning, the elite females, they have taken off, and as Kieran was just saying there, quite a hefty pace as well. So they are making their way out. They've started at the Burj Al Arab, and the routes now will take along the picturesque Jumeirah Road and really provide breathtaking views of the Arabian Gulf. Yes, it is dark, but just to the left of them is the wonderful coastline of the Arabian Gulf. And then from there, the runners will then progress and cross over the canal and pass by the impressive Big Flag and the Etihad Museum, which really is steeped in the heritage of Dubai. I think just talking about the global appearance and appeal, Ewan, the Burj2Burj half marathon has really gained that international recognition for its unique blend of, well, really athleticism and mental agility, drawing participants from various corners of the world. And also the landmark run, it really is so iconic, from the Burj Al Arab to Burj Khalifa, and it's something extremely new that has been brought over to the UAE. We've seen many marathons, half marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks being set up over the last few years, but it really is a different feel to a half marathon, having two iconic buildings, and it really something special to the United Arab Emirates. So just looking at sports, fitness and culture within the wonderful country, the United Arab Emirates is, beyond Dubai, the UAE is really passionate about sports, hosting events like the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Formula One, and the Abu Dhabi HSBC Golf Championship. There is so much that the UAE offers with sports nowadays, and well, it must be quite difficult for participants to choose which one to get involved with, Kieran.
Yeah, you know, the UAE is definitely fast becoming one of the sports capitals of the world. And, you know, for a lot of these elite athletes, it's only a 4-hour flight from Ethiopia through to Dubai, and the Kenyans, just a flight time of over 5 hours. So there's a lot of money up for grabs. And these athletes that you're seeing in your picture now, this is their livelihood. This is what puts food on their table. And you can see, I thought that this morning the race was going to be a little bit more tactical given the small size of the elite field. But you can see on your screen there, Josephat Kiplis from Kenya, he's really pushing the pace. And as well on the ladies' race, we've seen that the pace there is being really pushed. And if you see there on the graphic now, the one with the orange around it, that is your leading man, Josephat Kiplis. He's got a 60-minute, 25-second half marathon personal best, so we'll be able to tell just sort of what pace they're running once they go through the 5-kilometer mark. But whenever there's a single line like this, Amy, you can tell that the pace is really, really fast. They're really gunning for it in not just only the men's race, but the women's race as well. And once they start to bunch up, then you can tell the pace has slowed, it's getting a little bit more tactical, but these men are hungry, and they're not only hungry for that $3,000 first prize up for offer, they want to see if they can get under that magical 1 hour mark and pick up that extra incentive of $1,000.
Yeah, and that really is a bit of a Brucey bonus for the runners here today. Having that, it's like the buzzer, I call it, Ewan. You know, having that one extra $1,000 up for grabs, it really just makes them a little bit more motivated, perhaps, than normal, to try and claim that $1,000. And also, as you were saying there, Josephat Kiptis, he also mentioned that his favorite run and event is a half marathon, and perhaps that could just give him the edge here today.
Well, Josephat's also himself a
another
class
point,
marathon runner, so he will be...
Sorry, Kieran, just cut across you there. Go ahead.
Thanks, Amy. Josephat himself, being a top marathon runner, he'll use a lot of that strength and endurance stepping down to the half marathon. And I mentioned about 2 minutes before that when you start to see them bunching up, it's indicative of the pace slowing down and it becoming a little bit more tactical. So you can see Josephat was really stringing the pace out there, but now the group has come together. It's the 2 Kenyans with the 2 Ethiopians sitting nicely just tucked behind the 2 Kenyans. That is Josephat Kiptis and Enos Kipruto, the Kenyan on the right-hand side of the picture. Enos himself, 28:42 over 10 kilometer. And he's only got a 63:30 half marathon, and I say only as if that's a slow time. It's not at all. That's a tempo of just under 3 minutes per kilometer, but the men this morning running well under that so far.
Now, another question for you, Kieran. So, in particular, last few years, we've seen development with the running shoe, and that really has enabled runners, and in particular the elite runners here today, to and you know, claim the world records in some cases. So what's your thoughts on the running shoe as it stands, and is there a particular one which you think just takes the edge over the others?
Yeah, you know, Amy, running shoe technology has definitely come to the forefront over the last couple of years. Back in 2017, we saw Nike release the Vaporfly running shoe, which formed a carbon fiber plate that was embedded in the shoe with a special super foam that literally gave the runners a really fast propulsion onto their forefoot. And we saw a lot of the times really getting smashed through these shoes. And then, of course, the different brands have now come through. Adidas have a really, really good carbon-plated shoe as well. And all the world records from 10 kilometers through to the marathon distance on both the men's and women's sides within the last 3 to 4 years have totally been obliterated. And it is the Nike and Adidas carbon shoes that hold the majority of those records. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, as much as we do speak about the shoes and the benefits that they do, it's still the athletes that are running these times. But they're definitely making a big difference, not only in the fact that they're making runners run a lot faster, but it's more so the recovery from the training. You know, when you look at these elite athletes, some of these athletes are running in excess of 150 to 200 kilometers a week. And myself living in South Africa, I can tell you right now that I don't even drive that far in my car each week going up and down to work. So these athletes, you know, really covering huge distances in training, which enables them to do these remarkable performances that we're seeing on the roads of Dubai this morning. But I think the main thing with the shoes is it's more a good recovery tool. The guys can run a lot harder in their sessions. They can go longer in their long runs. And then, you know, the next day they're feeling a lot fresher. And that's down to this new shoe technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really hit the nail on the head there, Kieran, with, you know, yes, the shoes are there and the development of the trainer has gone leaps and bounds to enable the runners here today to try and get a better time and beat their PBs. But it is down to the athletes themselves. At the end of the day, all those trainers and footwear are up for grabs for anyone. So it is down to the athletes, and, you know, hats off to them being here today. So, Kieran, can you take us through who's leading the pack for the women?
Yeah, so we see quite a substantial breakaway at this stage from the women's race. And We just need to get a bit of a zoom in there on the race number, but I think that is the Sudanese athlete there, Atalina Napule Gaspore, who's made quite an early break in the women's race. You can see not another athlete in sight. As we see on the left-hand side of the picture there, that is your leading four men. And you can tell that the pace has increased once again. They were quite bunched up, but now that single line formation, and it is the Kenyan athlete who is really, really pushing the race, pushing the pace in this race. Just over 16 minutes into the 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. And Amy, you can see a little bit of a gap now forming on the men's race. The Kenyan athlete dropping back, and as we mentioned earlier, the two Ethiopian athletes almost as if they're in stalker mode, just watching their prey from the back. And you can guarantee that if they are still there within the mix, coming through towards the finish, they are going to unleash a brutal sprint finish through to the finish. And I think we're going to see some exciting racing this morning at the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon.
Absolutely, and the word there, exciting, and I think that's what a half marathon really brings. It brings a real excitement for both run and also spectator queue, and the injection of pace that these elite runners they can input towards the end of the run is quite remarkable, and I'm looking forward to it myself here in the commentary box, awaiting for that real injection as they approach the Burj Khalifa. So just speaking about their Atalina Napul, in the women's elite category, 26 years of age. So looking at her 21K, typically with a 70-minute mark, Ewan, what in particular about Atalina Napul kind of grabs your attention?
I think, with Atalina, although she's got that 70-minute half marathon, I think it's her 10-kilometer best of 32 minutes low that grabs my attention about her, because, that's a world-class time on the roads. And it's also indicative that she can run probably around 68 minutes high to 69 minutes low on the half marathon. So that is her potential. And as you mentioned there, Amy, she's only 26 years old. So I think, big potential in Atalina on the streets of Dubai this morning. But as the athletes make their way through past the 5-kilometer mark, we're going to go through for a short ad break. But don't go away. We will be right back with the action of the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon in a short while.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon in the heart of Dubai, which is of course in the United Arab Emirates. So looking at the women's elite category now, Ewan, what's your thoughts on the women's category and how are the runners doing so far?
Yeah, Amy, I think they've gone out really fast this morning. We had a small but quality elite field this morning with the 4 male athletes up front and the 4 athletes in the women's race. It's a Sudanese athlete, the Kenyan, Ethiopian, and then South Africa's Agada Steyn. But it is the athlete in your picture now, Atalina Napule from South Sudan, 26 years of age. She's got that 70-minute half marathon best, which she is currently chasing. And you can see the graphic on the bottom of the picture there, 3:18 per kilometer. So if she can keep that up from start to finish, a tempo of around 3:18 per kilometer would get her a time of around 1 hour 9 minutes, quite low in the 69 minutes. So not only is she chasing that $3,000 for first prize, but she'll also want that extra $1,000 bonus for breaking the 70 minutes. So she's come here this morning. Win is not just good enough for her. She really wants that extra incentive. But yeah, Amy, the racing has gone off fast and furious this morning on the streets of Dubai. And it's nice to see. Sometimes when the race field is small like this on the elite side, it's a very tactical affair, and we see a lot of the athletes running together in bunches. But now this morning, they've really gone out quickly, as we see on the left-hand side of the picture, the leading men.
Yeah, and just quite recently, back in July, she participated in the NBC Dodoma half marathon in Tanzania. She finished 3rd place there, and with a time of 1 at Kewen.
Yeah, she's coming through on some good pedigree, and the new year has started in earnest. 2024 is here, and this will be her first race of the year. And what a beautiful first race to do than the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. It's a first of its kind between the 2 iconic landmarks in Dubai, and very, very exciting here on the streets of Dubai. And on the right-hand side of the picture there is your leading lady. It is all about Atalina Napule from South Sudan right now. But a break here in the men's race, and this is the Kenyan athletes. We'll have to get just a close-up there of the race number, but I think it may be Enos Kipruto. He's ranked 2nd amongst the Kenyans. The quickest athlete in the field, Josephat Kiprop Kiptus from Kenya, coming through there with that 60-minute half marathon. But Amy, this is a very, very fast break in the men's race. Well, that is your race leader there, the lone Kenyan at this stage. We'll just have to get a graphic of his name. It's either Josephat Kiptus or Enos Kipruto, and he has now brought a gap on the 2 Ethiopians in your picture right now. That is Eneyu Kumia Akasa and Habtu Moka Legese, the 2 Ethiopian athletes who base themselves in Addis Ababa. They are part of a strong training group up there where they train in the mountains of Saluta and Bikoji, running in the high altitude areas there in Ethiopia. And East Africa definitely has produced some of the world's greatest distance runners. As you can see now, the Kenyan athletes Enos, that has now taken the lead, and that is Enos Kipruto, 27 years of age. He's based himself in E10, the running mecca of running, so to speak, in Kenya. Actually, when you go through to E10, it's a small farming village in just past Eldoret, about 32 kilometers from Eldoret. And as you enter E10, the small little farming town, there's a sign that says, "Welcome to the home of champions." And champion indeed at this stage is Enos Kipruto. As I mentioned, he's 27 years old. He only has a 63:30 half marathon best, but he is busy upstaging some really world-class athletes. The two Ethiopians behind him, Habtu Legese, has got that 62:27 half marathon best, with Eneyu Kumia running 63:01. But these two gentlemen have very fast 10-kilometer splits on the road. 28:09 personal best for Habtu Legese, and Eneyu Akasa having that 28:43. So the Ethiopians at this stage, as we near 27 minutes into the 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon, could be running a bit more sensibly. It is still just before the halfway mark in the race, as we see there's 5-kilometer splits coming through, with Enos taking that first 5-kilometer mark in 14 minutes and 58 seconds. So the hour mark at this stage, very safe for that extra $1,000 US. These athletes operating at the 5-kilometer mark at a projected tempo of around about 63 minutes for the winning men, if they go through from that 5-kilometer mark. But time bonuses are always there, and it's nice if they do break them, but it's the wins that will count. And currently Enos could perhaps be thinking that the pace is too slow. I want to break my half marathon best here, and he's definitely getting a gap on the two Ethiopians at this stage. As you see there, they'll be making their way through. You see 1 and 2. That is the gap there between the two athletes right now, as they're running on the beautiful palm-lined streets of Jumeirah Street there. And if you see just in the distance there, they will be making their way through to the 10-kilometer aid station. So we'll be able to get another split once they get through 10 kilometers and see just how fast the leading men are running through at this stage. But on your picture now, the leading lady in the race, and that is Atalina Napule Gaspore from South Sudan. As you see that beautiful graphic there on the left-hand side of the picture, and she's got a commanding lead at this stage, just under 29 minutes into the race. She went through the 5-kilometer mark in 16 minutes and 8 seconds. So very fast running there indeed. She had a gap of around about 20 seconds on the second place athlete, which was Tejust Ango from Ethiopia in 16:27, with Frida Chepkite Lodepa, the 42-year-old Kenyan, right there with Tejust in 16:29, and South Africa's Achada Steyn coming through there in 17 minutes and 2 seconds. But you saw those two athletes sprinting past Atalina just a little bit back there, and those will be the leading athletes from the mass race, and they started 5 minutes behind the elites here this morning. So some fast athletes as well in the open race. But in your picture now are the two chasing athletes. This is in the men's race, and these are your two Ethiopians. This is Eneyu Kumere Kasa and Habtu Morka Legese, and they are chasing the race leader at this stage. You can see just on the top of your picture there, so gap of around 25 meters at this stage, and that is Enos Kipruto, the 27-year-old from Kenya, and these athletes really chasing hard on the leader who's there in your picture now, and he's just gone through the 10-kilometer mark. So the split unofficially just around 30 minutes and 5 seconds. So a little bit slower from the 5 to 10-kilometer mark, as we saw Enoch go through that 5-kilometer mark in 14:58. but 29:44 the official split for 10 kilometers. So Enoch has actually increased the pace. He's running right now at a current projected tempo of around 62 minutes and 40 seconds, which will totally obliterate his half marathon personal best of 63:30. So very, very fast running by Enos Kipruto-Sat on the streets of Dubai this morning between the two iconic landmarks, the Burj Al Arab and Burj Khalifa. But these are the two athletes who are chasing currently the two Ethiopians, Kasa and Legesse, and really rich heritage of East African athletes coming to the fore, and quite a rich tradition as well between the East African nations of Ethiopia and Kenya, who we have seen dominate road races around the world currently. And we don't expect anything different here on the streets of Dubai this morning. It is Ethiopia versus Kenya in the front of the men's race, but on the women's race, a little bit of a change in the guard there with the South Sudan athlete Atalina Napule, the 26-year-old with a PB of 32 minutes over 10 Ks and just over 70 minutes on the half marathon. She'll be looking at breaking that this morning. She went through the 5-kilometer mark in 16:09, so currently she's on the projected tempo of just around 69 minutes for the half marathon. So some really fast running we're seeing this morning on the streets of Dubai in the inaugural 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. But in your picture right now is Enoch Kiprop, who is really trying to obliterate the front of the pack. But as Enos makes his way through towards the 12-kilometer mark, we're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.
We know fitness isn't always pretty. And taking that first step can feel like conquering Mount Everest.
Coming to gym, bro?
Every push-up is a struggle. Every mile, a marathon. We get it. We've been there. We know fitness is not a size. It's not an age. It's a journey, unique to each one of us. And we join your journey with our minimalist designs made from high-performance fabrics so you have fewer things to worry about. We won't just dress you. We'll walk, run, climb, and sweat with you. We are not just for the fit, but for the fight of you. Squat Wolf. This is premium.
Welcome back to the live pictures of the inaugural 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon, one of its kind in its first year, and a field of just under 4,000 athletes out on the streets of Dubai this morning, representing 113 nationalities. And there are 3 Kenyans in the field this morning, and one of them, Enos Kipruto, currently in the helm leader's position, as he makes his way through towards the 13-kilometer mark now. He covered the first 10 kilometers in a shade over 29 minutes and 44 seconds. And you can see that gap there on the right-hand picture there, beautiful route graphic of the route where they are currently running now. And it is Enos Kipruto who is at the helm of the lead. He is really, really running hard. And he's got quite a big gap at this stage on the two Ethiopian athletes, Kasa and Legese. But back to the leading lady. It's all about Atalina Napule from South Sudan, and she would have gone through the 10-kilometer mark already. We will get some official splits once those come through. She went through the first 5 kilometers in 16:09, already 25 seconds up on the second place athlete Frida Chepkite Ledlopa from Kenya, herself a masters athlete at 42 years of age, but don't let that age fool you. As they say in elite running, age is only but a number. We've seen some really fast athletes in the masters category already, still competing it with the best of the best. Last year in December at the Valencia Marathon, we saw the perhaps undisputable goat of distance running, Kenenisa Bekele, at 42 years of age, running a remarkable 2 hours and 4 minutes marathon there. And hopefully that will be good enough to see him selected for Ethiopia later this year, once the Paris Olympics comes about in August later here. But beautiful shot here of your two leaders. On the right-hand side of the picture, that is your leading lady, Atalina Napule from South Sudan. And on the left-hand side of the picture, your leading male athlete, Enos Kipruto, 27 years old from Kenya. He's got a 28:42 personal best over the 10-kilometer mark, 10-kilometer distance, and 63 minutes and 30 seconds over the half marathon. And just under 38 minutes into this year's Burj2Burj half marathon. And Kipruto, if he can keep this pace up all the way through to the finish, is going to obliterate that personal best half marathon of 63:30. He's currently running a projected tempo of around 62 minutes and 40 seconds. So we're not going to see that sub-hour clocking this morning, but I can guarantee that once Enos makes his way back through to Iten, Kenya, where he is based, I think he's going to tell a lot of his friends about this Burj2Burj half marathon and just how fast the course is. But Amy, your thoughts so far on the exciting action that we're seeing on the roads?
I think there, just as you mentioned it, Kieran, it's just as how fast this half marathon actually is. And I think that really is what is going to attract the elite runners from all over the world. This is the first edition, remember, of the NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. So it is really just the beginning. And we mentioned about the number of people that have signed up to participate in this morning's run. 1,221 women, 2,342 men, and then 88 are also entering the relay. Now, we've not really mentioned the relay queuing as of yet, so there is a relay race available for people to participate in today, and the relay is run by two members, and it will be 10.5k each. And that just brings a new highlight and a bit of a new attraction for people across the world, Kieran. People perhaps that are maybe new to a half marathon or want to start and get into running. It's a really, really good opportunity for people to take up running at 10.5k each. What's your thoughts on the relay race?
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative. Warwick and his team of the Burj2Burj half marathon really making this a great affair for everyone to be included. As you mentioned earlier, yesterday was the kids run. So the whole, race weekend full of exciting things for the whole family and everyone to take part. The kids distance yesterday, 1.2 kilometers, And for those athletes, as you've mentioned, who perhaps at this stage feel that they can't quite grasp the distance of a half marathon being 21.1 kilometers, there is that option of them to do the relay of 10.5 kilometers each. And I'm pretty sure, Amy, that a lot of the athletes that are in that relay this morning, of those 88 teams, I'm pretty sure that come next year, January, at the second edition of the Burj2Burj half marathon, I think we'll see a step up from some of those athletes thinking, I've done the 10.5 kilometer, I want to be part of the main race next year.
Absolutely. It is a really good introduction to the half marathon. And as you said, it is only going to get bigger and better from here. Also, yesterday, the Emirates NBD mini marathon did take place, and it was an opportunity for children to take up a 1.2k run, which was around the fountains just by the Burj Khalifa, which is obviously the ending for our run here today. That is where the finish line is. And again, we were just mentioning there, Kieran, about an introductory to running. And here we have a few highlights, and our wonderful MC Suleiman engaging with the students and children and energizing them, getting ready for their mini marathon. And it is all about community within the United Arab Emirates. And the Burj2Burj half marathon is really, well, it sets up for the community, everything for all the family. And here we see the kids getting ready on the start line to make way for their 1.2k marathon, a mini marathon at that. And just look how excited the children are, and what a moment for them to be able to say they participated within the Burj2Burj. There's an element for everybody with this event, and hats off to the likes of Warwick. It is really a remarkable initiative, something really new being brought into the United Arab Emirates. And well, I'm sure the starting age is for 6 years old, and well, Kieran, could you run 1.2 at 6 years old?
Yeah, I think that's quite a distance to grasp. I'm pretty sure I could perhaps do it, but I'll definitely be a lot sore afterwards if I had to do that at the age of 6. But best to believe that if I did 1.2 kilometers when I was 6 years old, that beautiful medal that we see the kids receiving as they cross the line, that will be in my back pocket, and I will tell all my school friends on Monday this is how I did the Burj2Burj 1.2 kilometer, and that medal will be gratefully displayed to all my mates come school on Monday.
Absolutely, and they'll be keeping hold of that medal for the rest of their lives. So looking at the lead women's elite category now. So Kieran, can you tell us about the leader?
Yeah, so the leader still at this stage, Atalina Napule from South Sudan. She's 26 years old, and we're just waiting for that 10-kilometer split. She went through the first 5 kilometer in 16:08, which if she had to double that would give her a time of 32:16 at 10 kilometers, and her best over 10 kilometers, 32:03. So she's operating at a tempo of right on her 10-kilometer personal best time. And we're not seeing that sub 1 hour clocking in the men's race this morning. But if Atalina can keep up this tempo that she's set up this morning, we could see that extra $1,000 bonus on top of the $3,000 prize for first place going through for that sub 70 clocking. But here at this stage, the lead man still is Enos Kibruto. And he's got a sizable gap over the 2 Ethiopian athletes, Nau Kasa and Haptu Morka Legese, who we saw earlier were just sitting behind Enoch and abiding their time, hoping to go through towards the finish. But Enos has really picked up the pace. But 44:50 odd there through the 15-kilometer mark. And you can see that Enos has definitely kept up this pace. But yesterday we managed to catch up with Enos the day before the race. And let's hear his thoughts on the Burj2Burj half marathon.
Kenya, running for Otso. My favorite distance is 21 kilometer half marathon. The fastest half marathon is 63:32. I've heard that it's flat and climate is favorable. I think I will run my personal time. I think I can run 60 or 59. My predictable, I will try to run 247, 250 per kilometer. This is my first time to be in Dubai, and I've seen the climate is good, the city is good, the hotel is good. We enjoy it. The message to the runners, I will tell them to train hard and push and don't give up. Running is not easy, but training make perfect.
A few words there from one of our elite runners. And Kieran, it's something we've not really touched on at all, really, but talking about the climate there, just mentioning that it is a perfect climate right now in the United Arab Emirates, and there is only really a short window when people can say it is the perfect climate in Dubai for running. In particular, if you look at the likes of the summer, it's the humidity and can reach up to around 50 degrees Celsius, whereas right now it's around 23 degrees Celsius. It is perfect conditions. It's right there today, a little bit overcast this morning as well. So it is really perfect conditions for the runners out there. And in particular, Itzo is looking to get his PB 60 or 59 minutes he is aiming for. Do you think that's a true possibility looking at the running right now?
I think on the men's side of the race, Amy, at this stage, the sub 60 minutes is not going to be a possibility given the times they went through the 10 and 15 kilometer mark. So his prediction there of that sub 60 clocking not going to be happening on the streets of Dubai this morning, but he's still in a commanding pole position there in the lead, and he's running really, really quick. The time that we're going to be looking for is if he can get around 62:44, 62:50 this morning, which is going to be really, really fast running in these nice, cool conditions this morning. His half marathon personal best of 63:30 at this stage is on stage to be obliterated. So he mentioned there, Amy, that this is his first time in Dubai, and of course Dubai, a huge tourist attraction for many visitors around the world. And I don't think many visitors can say that they've covered 21.1 kilometers on the streets of Dubai in the shade over an hour on foot, just as Enos is doing this morning.
Yeah, Enos, his first time in the United Arab Emirates, and what a time to come over, especially for the Burj2Burj half marathon. It is his first run in the UAE, and I'm sure he'll be entering again next year. So just looking at the community of Dubai, so running events foster a real sense of community, Kieran, creating bonds among participants who share a real common passion for fitness. Local running clubs and events contribute to this sense of belonging, really, and that's what we have here today. And of course, after the elite run, we do have participants from across the UAE and across the world that will participate in today's half marathon and also the relay, as we mentioned earlier on. Tell us, what is it about running, Kieran, that brings people together?
No, I think running is just, it's such an easily accessible sport that, you know, you can have an accountant, you can have an unemployed person, you can have one of the world's best athletes all converging on the same start line, sharing those war stories afterwards. You know, in the field of just under 4,000 athletes this morning, there's 113 different nationalities, with the UK having that leading participation there with 905 athletes. another 242 athletes making the trek to the UAE from India, coming for that half marathon. And I think that we're going to see these numbers just grow next year. And, you know, different nationalities, different cultures, different religions, all coming through with one common purpose, and that is to finish the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. And I don't think there's any other sport in the world, Amy, where you can get so many thousands of people on the road at the same time doing what they love, and that's getting out there, being healthy and being fit.
Absolutely, and as you just said there, Kieran, it is so accessible. Anybody can take part. It doesn't matter how far you run. It's all about the taking part that counts and just getting over the line. And it's also the challenge with yourself. You're not battling really against anybody else unless you are the elite category. It's always about you beating your personal best or you just running that extra K. And it's always about just having your personal goals and being able to try and beat those. And also it's such an achievement for everybody here today just to participate and just make their way through the wonderful Emirates of Dubai and making their way from Burj Al Arab to the Burj Khalifa. So we just saw there, as we were chatting away, about community and the participants here today. So the Burj2Burj men's top three, in first place is Enos Karaputo, and then in second place, NEU, and in third, Habtu. So do you have a favourite here, Q, and do you feel that Enos can hold his first place position? We just saw that around the 15K mark, his timing was 44.55. Do you think he can hold on to that top spot?
Yeah, you know, Enos has done much of the front running this morning, and he's got a gap of around 32 seconds over NEU, Kumer Kasa, and Haptu Molelegese, your two Ethiopians who are currently in that chasing a bunch in second and third place. Enos did slow a little bit between the 10 and 15 kilometer mark, but you know, he has extended his lead as he went through that 10 kilometer checkpoint, and at 15 Ks now, that gap just over 30 seconds. So a lot can happen. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on Enos. He's run such a brave race at this stage of the race, but that projected tempo now creeping to just over 63 minutes for the half marathon. So we'll have to see, can he not only hold on to that position, but can he break his personal best time of 63:30? But don't want to put any curse there on the race leader, but I think Enos has done enough at this stage to hold on for that victory. You know, a gap of around 30 seconds with just under 5 kilometers to go at this stage. I think he's going to do it.
Well, I'm sure if he doesn't, Enos will be on the phone to you tomorrow, Kieran, or even later on today with that commentary curse. So let's have a look at the Burj2Burj half marathon women's top three. So Atalina still top of the table and out in full force here tonight, or today, should I say. So at 15K mark with a time of 49.57. Again, she is storming ahead of the pack, Kieran, in particular, very much like Enos.
Yes, Atalina is running a well-judged race here this morning, and she's keeping up with that pace, 49.57 through the 15-kilometer mark, as you said there, really fast running. So at this stage, just looking at finishing in just over an hour and 10 minutes. So she'll need to see if she can increase her pace a little bit in the final 5 kilometers. As you see there, she's glancing at her watch. But a lead of over a minute and 20 seconds at this stage, a really, really class running from the South Sudanese athletes. And we don't see too many athletes from South Sudan dominating the Ethiopians and Kenyans like Adelina is doing this morning. But beautiful shots there, Amy, of the Dubai skyline there in the background. And the sun is starting to rise now.
Lodefa, also from Kenya.
Yeah, as the sun does start to rise in the United Arab Emirates. Dubai is a global city really known for its futuristic skyline, and you can just really see the silhouette of the skyline in the backdrop as the runners make their way towards the Burj Khalifa.
Well, Enos Kiprop at this stage still in the pole position in the men's race. This is your race leader of the 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. A little glance back there from Enos, and he's going to have to look quite some distance down the road as you see your chasing athletes here. These are your two Ethiopian athletes, Eneu Kumia Kasa and Haptu Moka Legese, two athletes who are based in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. And we've seen so many athletes coming from the city of Addis Ababa coming through to the forefront as we see beautiful route graphic there. And what a shot there, Amy, of the Burj Khalifa. That is the finish line where the athletes will be aiming for. And what a sight there, Amy.
Yeah, absolutely, Kieran. And the runners now, the elite pack, are making their way to the finish line, which is at the remarkable Burj Khalifa. It really is an iconic building, the tallest building in the world, just over half a mile long. It is still shocking when you see the Burj Khalifa in real life. You can see it in pictures, but it really doesn't do it justice, Kieran. And well, with the world's tallest building, it was actually constructed back in 2004 to 2010, and it was a real journey from start to finish. And it's actually named in honor of Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. And well, what an ending to a remarkable event. And it's quite funny, Kieran, because with most races, you can't see the end until you're approaching that final stretch. But this is an iconic run from Burj to Burj, the athletes can pretty much see the ending from the start. And it's always, I think, a bit of added motivation just seeing the end come closer and closer throughout the run, and just being able to spot the finish line from the start pretty much. It's rather different than any other run in the world.
Definitely, Amy, and I think that's what makes the Burj2Burj half marathon so unique, is that there's, besides if you're running a 100-meter sprint race where you can see the finish from the start, I don't think there's any road race where you can consistently see where you are aiming for, and that is the Burj Khalifa, 829 meters, 828.9 meters in height, and I'm pretty sure that Enos Kipruto has his eyes set on the beautiful Burj Khalifa, and that is what he will be aiming for at this stage. But still, at this stage, all about Enos Kipruto from Kenya, the Otso running team, as you see on the back of this vest there, and beautiful sights here of Dubai. The roads, full road closure here for the athletes, so great work by the organizers. And as you can see there on the route graphic, Amy, Enos Kipruto is not that far from the finish now. Within the next 5 minutes, we are going to be able to see if Kipruto can hold on to his lead. He does have two very strong Ethiopian athletes that is chasing Enos Kipruto Sart from Team Otso. And at this stage, Amy, Enos, I'm sure, is feeling pretty confident. But if I was within the final 1.5 kilometers, final 1 mile of a half marathon, a world-class half marathon, be that, I wouldn't want two world-class Ethiopians breathing down my neck at this stage.
No, absolutely not. And I think, with Enos's PB at 63.30, it is definitely a reality that he can beat that here today. And he really is now storming ahead towards the Burj Khalifa in the last final few K for Enos. And what a run he's had here today. The pace that he has started and kept hold of. He's just been so consistent throughout today's run, Ewan.
Yes, Enos has been very, very consistent. He's taken that lead just after the 5 kilometer mark from his fellow countryman, Josephat Kiptus, who is currently in the 4th place position. But if you look there on the left-hand side of the picture, that is your race leader, Enos Kiprop. And on the right-hand side of the picture, your 2 chasing athletes from Ethiopia, that is NAU Kumia Akasa and Haptu Morka Legese. Both of these athletes much faster half marathon personal best than Enos, but as we heard earlier from Enos in that interview from yesterday, that he's here, he's in good shape, and he's looking to run a really, really fast time, and he's taken the race by the scruff of his neck. You can see in the background there, no athletes at this stage, as the chasing 2 on the right hand side of the picture just make their way under the bridge. And you can see on Enos's picture there, the bridge quite a distance now. So I would say that that gap at this stage around 150 meters. So just over an hour now into the 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. And I think, Amy, that Enos has definitely got this race in the bag.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the gap that's being built up now, it is looking like a bit of a distance away for the 2 chasing elite men runners, and Enos is really leading the pack by storm, and well, it's his to claim.
Well, beautiful shot there of your
Atalina.
race leader in the women's race. And that is Atalina from South Sudan. And Amy, as you see there, the Burj Khalifa in her distance, so she's not that far behind the men at this stage. Quite some distance though, so there's no chance of her catching the men, but she's on that pace of around 1 hour 10 minutes for the half marathon. So we see the top 3 there. That was earlier on in the race at the 15-kilometer mark, and 49.57 for Atalina. And beautiful candy floss skies there of the sun rising in the UAE, Amy.
Yes, and as you can see, Enos is just making his way past the famous Dubai Mall. People from all over the world make their way here to come shopping. It is known for the malls in the United Arab Emirates, and just to his right there is Dubai Mall as he is approaching the Burj Khalifa. And then just to his right will also be the Dubai Fountain, which again is another iconic landmark in Dubai and in the United Arab Emirates. The Dubai Fountain is nestled at the base of the Burj Khalifa. The Dubai Fountain is the world's largest choreographed fountain system, and its nightly shows with music and lights really reflect Dubai's dedication to combining technology with entertainment. And I think entertainment is certainly something that the UAE brings well. And Ewan, there we have Enos. He has finished the Burj2Burj half marathon, and what a moment for Enos. Ewan, your thoughts on Enos's run today?
Yes, definitely. What a moment there for Enos Kipruto. Unofficially, 63 minutes and 22 seconds. And he is the victor. And he will go down in history as always being the victor of the inaugural 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. To see him getting congratulated there by Warwick McNichol, part of the organizing team there, and just expressing his gratitude there. He'll run away with $3,000 for his effort this morning, and beautiful running by Enos, who really took the race out hard there in the beginning. From 5 kilometers he took the lead, but here is your second and third place athletes. These are the 2 Ethiopians, NAU Akasa and Haptu Legese, and sprint finish there. So Ethiopia taking the second and third spots there, claiming $2,000 for second and $1,000 for third. And bear in mind as well, we have seen a lot of doping in the sport of athletics, so unfortunate instances there. But all these athletes here this morning will be tested by the ARU and the doping authorities. So clean running for all this morning, and they'll ensure that the athletes are playing by the level and fair rules here. As we see our top three men this morning in the inaugural 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. Some exciting racing this morning, and down at the finish line, our race announcer Max Clear is going to interview the top three shortly.
All right, here we go. Our next athlete coming in across the line, it is the...
Yeah, it was quite a remarkable run for Enos here today. And he really did keep the gap. Once he made that gap, there was no letting go of it, and it was really difficult for the other two runners to catch up. And well, there is the fourth place just making their way through. And in particular, Kewan, about Enos's running style, what do you think set him apart today?
I think, Enos was just hungrier for that victory this morning. He ran really aggressively from the 5 kilometer mark when he took over from his teammate there, Josephat Kiptis, who finished in the 4th place. As we see more of the athletes now coming through to the finish. And these athletes in picture now did not start with the elite men. So they started just behind in the mass race. So the fact that they are coming through now to the finish just shows the class of those elite athletes that came through from the mass starts. And I think next year, Amy, we're definitely going to see a much larger elite field. And Enos Kiprop hopefully will come back to not only defend his title, but I think that 63 minutes and 28 seconds will be obliterated next year. But down on the finish line, Max, our race announcer, is there with our race winner, Enos Kiprop.
Here we are on the finish line of the very first running of the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. Your winner with me from Kenya, Enos Kiprop. Enos, an incredible run for you today. You went out early on your own. How was the race? You must be very, very happy with your result.
Yes, I'm very happy. I really thank God for helping me. The course was very nice. I enjoyed it. It was not easy, but I do my best. I thank God for that.
Will you be back next year to defend your title?
Yes, God willing.
All right, congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
There it is, your elite men's winner, Enos Kiprop from Kenya. Let's get back to the finish line.
And welcome back to the NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. We have already seen our top 3 men's finish, and now we do focus on the women's elite category. And well, very much like the men's category, Enos made that gap and he ended up winning and storming through the finish line. And here we have Atalina Napul. She has made the gap for herself, and it looks as though she will be claiming the win, and quite comfortably as well, Kewan.
Yes, Atalina Napule Gaspore from South Sudan, 26 years of age, and she is going to convincingly win the 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. She's going to miss out on that sub-70 clocking. Just word from the course, she went through the 20 kilometer mark in 67:32. So looking at around about 71 minutes this morning for Atalina. So she's just going to miss not only that bonus of $1,000 for the sub-70 clocking, but she'll miss out on her personal best over the half marathon. But you can see she is not far at all from the finish. She had a gap of around about a minute and 20 seconds through 15 kilometers. As you can see, a bit of a grimace there on the face of Atalina. But Amy, I think just as we saw on the men's race with Enos Kiprop, Atalina has really made the Burj2Burj half marathon all about her this morning, and she is going to be rewarded for her hard running effort this morning as she makes her way through to the finish, which she should cover within the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes, and the reward is certainly great for these elite runners. The first place award is $3,000, and she will certainly be picking up that check at the end of this run. And she's now just running past the Dubai Mall to the right, and it's only moments away for Atalina Napule Gaspor from crossing the finish line right next to the Burj Khalifa. Final stretch for Atalina, and what a run it has been. Quite remarkable, really, the gap that she has made. Just over a minute there, and Gerda and Tajist are slowly approaching just behind.
And exciting to see that top three leaderboard there, Amy, because we mentioned earlier on, we saw Gerda Steyn from South Africa being dropped right from the start. But we did mention that she'll use her experience and the ultra marathon pedigree to come through the field, and she's doing just that so far, just being just over a minute down on Atalina at this stage through the 20-kilometer mark. So she's not going to be able to close that gap, but we may have an exciting finish for second and third as we see Atalina on the final stretch now, just a shade over 71 minutes, but she is going to be your 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon winner, and that is Atalina Napule from South Sudan, also from Team Otso. So Team Otso having a really good showing this morning on the streets of Dubai, taking victories in both the men's and women's half marathon. A beautiful run by Atalina this morning, Amy.
Yeah, it really is. And Mabruk and congratulations to Atalina Napule Gaspor. An absolutely terrific run for her, and celebrations with her fellow teammate, all coming from Otso. It is a good day in the office for them, Kewan. And they really have a fine pedigree of runners under their belt.
A good day in the office indeed for these athletes, and some may think that, wow, just for over an hour and 10 minutes of work, she gets $3,000, but don't forget all the time and effort it takes to prepare for this race, running over 150 kilometers a week in training. But the second athlete coming through here, and she's really closed the gap to Atalina over the final stages, and that is the South African athlete Gerda Steyn in the colors of Adidas, taking that second place here in a shade over 72 minutes, and beautiful running here from Gerda this morning as our third place athlete crosses the line there from Ethiopia, and she just couldn't hold on to Gerda at the end there, but that is your podium now, Amy, this morning in the Burj2Burj half marathon. Fantastic running by the ladies, and 1 hour 12 minutes and 41 seconds. That unofficial time there of Gerda Steyn in second.
Yeah, absolutely terrific from our top three female athletes there. As you can see, the finish timings on your screens. And I do have to mention there, Kewan, Gerda Steyn, just the gap she created just in the final stretch there, just to peel away and ensure that she claimed second place. We did say there is going to be a real sprint finish, and that's exactly what Gerda Steyn did to claim that second spot.
Yeah, Gerda Steyn using that ultra marathon pedigree to come through there, and she is of course the course record holder in the iconic Comrades Marathon in both the up and down direction last year, smashing that course record, running a time of 5 hours and 44 minutes over 88 kilometers. So a big step down in distance for Gerda Steyn this morning at the Burj2Burj half marathon, as we see some of the top elites there on the left of your picture there. Josephat, who was in the 4th place, and your women's winner Atalina, and they are all part of that team Otso, and fast running conditions that we've seen here this morning as more of the athletes make their way through to the finish. And a lot of these athletes are starting in the mass race behind in the open race. So I think, Amy, next year the Burj2Burj half marathon is going to see an influx of elite athletes coming through, and that field of 4 elite men and 4 elite women is going to be considerably bigger come January 2025.
Absolutely, and it's not just the run itself, it's also the landmark of the UAE. It's in such a prime position for so many countries. As you were saying earlier on, the flight distance from Ethiopia, it's not too far at all, and it's right in the heart of the world, and it's just an excellent location for elite athletes to make their way across to take part within, in particular, the Burj2Burj half marathon.
Elite women's winner Adlena Gasuri of South Sudan, racing for the Otso team out of Kenya. Adlena, how was your run today?
It was very hard, but I tried to push. Yeah.
Are you happy with your time?
I'm very happy. I'm so very happy.
And we asked your teammate who won the men's race as well, will you be back next year to defend your title?
No problem. We will be there.
Congratulations and well done.
Thank you so much.
So there it is, Adlena Gasuri, your winner of the elite women's race. 2 incredible champions, both from the Otso Running Club out of Kenya, and our elite women from South Sudan, our elite men from Kenya. Let's get back to the studio. How's it going, Amy and Kieran?
Yeah, thanks for that, Max. And words from Atalina there, the winner for the women's elite category, and she will be back next year, and rightly so. She will be here to defend her spot. And it is an extra special moment, Kieran, for the first place winners, as it is the first edition of the NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. And with it being the first edition, it will always go down in history.
Yes, both Atalina and Enos will go down in history as the inaugural winners of the Burj2Burj half marathon, and that's something that will never be able to be taken away from them. And if you think about it, Amy, these athletes are actually paving the way for this event, and just to show how big this event is, a field of under 4,000, just under 4,000 athletes on the streets of Dubai this morning. And I'm not going to be surprised, Amy, if come next year we're going to see that sub 1 hour clocking in the men's race and a time of well under 70 minutes in the women's race for the half marathon. These athletes, both Atalina and Enos, have definitely, put the pace on this morning and opened the steps for many more elite athletes to come through to Dubai and the UAE to compete in the Burj2Burj half marathon. And I think what a beautiful morning of running that we've seen in this inaugural event. And I think at this time next year, this event is just going to grow in leaps and bounds.
Yeah, it certainly will. We've said it once and we'll say it again. This really is just the beginning for the Burj2Burj half marathon, and there are our elite athletes just claiming their Burj2Burj medals, and it really is a very different medal at that. You know, the logo of Burj2Burj and what it symbolizes, and what the UAE also symbolizes. You know, unity is at the forefront of the UAE, and that's what we really see here today. And you mentioned earlier on, Kieran, about the number of athletes that have made their way for the first edition of the Burj2Burj half marathon, but it's also the mix of nationalities. You did also mention this earlier on, but we had the top 5. We have UK, India, UAE, Philippines, Ireland, people from all over the world participating in today's event. And I think that really, really focuses on what the UAE is all about. It really is an expat community. And, well, this run here today has really unified many from across the world.
Well, runners from all around the world at the Burj2Burj half marathon, as well as on our live YouTube stream. And for those watching at home, we'll be back shortly after this short ad break.
with race founder from World Iconic Events, Warwick McNichol. Warwick, what a day, man. What a day. Just to see those athletes coming across the line. What an international field. We got another 3,800 runners still coming across the line. There's a smile on your face. You must be stoked.
Yeah, Max, I mean, it's been a long time coming, and just to be standing here on the finish line, the beautiful Burj Khalifa. And yeah, honestly, runners come across the finish line. We've had our fastest males, fastest females across the line, and now we just wait for the masses. And honestly, that's where it's at. It's about enjoying that journey with those guys and just appreciating them for what they've done and supporting the brand.
Warwick, what a great running community you've got here in Dubai. I mean, it's something I've been told about, but it's something I've never experienced. I've experienced it here for the first time this week in the lead up to the event at registration. What a great vibe, what good people.
Yeah, Max, honestly, Dubai is an incredible running community, and honestly, it starts from the top in Dubai, and that's the beautiful thing about it. You got Dubai Sports Council that literally lead the way all the time in sports and promoting and pushing sports. And honestly, an event like this would never happen without RTA, police, tourism, and all the different entities that make Dubai what it is. So a massive thank you to them, and just a massive thank you to the community and the people of Dubai.
So there you have it, everybody. I don't know what you're doing next year, but the third week of January, put it on your calendar. Start your running season off with a bang right here in the beautiful Dubai for the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj Half Marathon. We'll see you then.
And thanks for that. Some words there from Warwick McNichol, one of the organisers of the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj Half Marathon. And what an event that they have established here in Dubai. It really is remarkable, and it really is very, very unique and iconic in comparison to any other run or event that is already taking place and established in the UAE. And well, we have seen our elite categories cross the finish line, and Mabruk and congratulations to our male elite winner Enos Kiprok, and also our women's elite winner Atalina Napul Gasport. Kieran, what's your thoughts so far on the run? We've seen our elite runners cross the finish line, and well, what a remarkable run it was indeed.
Yes, a beautiful morning out on the streets of Dubai at the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj Half Marathon, the inaugural running. We saw some exciting action this morning from our elites, with Enos Kipruto start from Kenya taking the victory, the inaugural victory there in a time of 1 hour, 3 minutes and 28 seconds, with Ethiopians Enayu Kumera Kasa and Habtu Mola Legese rounding off that top three podium spot in 1 hour, 4 minutes, 34 seconds, and Legese just a scant 2 seconds behind Kasa. In the women's race, it was all about Atalina Napule Gaspore from South Sudan, finishing in a time of 1 hour, 11 minutes and 25 seconds, just in front of Gada Steyn from South Africa, 72 minutes, 41 seconds for Steyn, with the Ethiopians Tijus Worku Anagor rounding off that women's podium and prize money spot from Ethiopia, running 1:12.56. Now it is the turn of the masses. These athletes are coming through 1 hour 26 minutes at this stage. Bear in mind, they did start a little bit behind our elite athletes. So these runners, as we see Eve there coming through to the finish, running fantastically well, Amy. And these runners all averaging the time of under 4 minutes a kilometer for their half marathon distance. So some of these athletes, perhaps next year, when they come back to the Burj2Burj half marathon, we'll be seeing some of these in the elite start.
Yeah, we just saw Eve Moore there cross the finish line, and she is an absolutely terrific ultramarathon. She, in particular, goes for the endurance more so than the half marathons normally, but a terrific run from her here today, and it's excellent to see her taking part within the Burj2Burj half marathon. And as we saw earlier on, Kieran, few words with Max and Warwick. Warwick was just mentioning there about the running community in Dubai. It's really developing and growing. It really has had that development of growth over the last couple of years, and it just really brings people together. And I think that's why so many events now, such as half marathons and marathons, are coming across to the UAE, in particular in the Emirates of Dubai, because of that running community and because of how many participants are wanting to get involved with these types of events.
Yes, Amy, and I think, as you mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, Dubai is a very big expat community. And, with the running community in Dubai, I don't think there's anywhere else in the world where you'll have so many different nationalities coming through together in these running groups and, training together, doing those speed work sessions, those long runs, those tempo runs, those easy runs, as we see in Dubai. And, that is why the field this morning of just under 4,000 athletes is quite a big number, I must say, for an inaugural running of an event. And I think come next year, the Burj2Burj half marathon is just going to grow exponentially, especially in not only the numbers of athletes that are taking part, but definitely in that elite field. And I'm pretty sure that some of the athletes in Kenya and Ethiopia who may have joined in on our live broadcast this morning on the Burj2Burj half marathon YouTube channel have seen those winning times of just over 1 hour and 3 minutes in the men's race and 1 hour 11 minutes in the women's race. And they're sitting at home thinking, I can run a lot faster than that. And with that $3,000 up for grabs for these athletes, they are going to come through next year to Dubai and be on that quest for that first prize.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure we will see a dramatic increase of participants with the second edition of Burj2Burj half marathon. And well, as more runners make their way through, and you can see exactly what it means to these participants and runners here today, just crossing that finish line. It's such an achievement for everybody here. And as our MC Suleiman is just gearing up the crowd, and also we've not really mentioned the crowd at all, Kewin. Hats off to the crowd that have made their way out here today to support their loved ones, to support the runners, to come and spectate and watch the elite runners that have made their way across from all over the world. And it just creates such an atmosphere at that finish line and just gives the runners that extra motivation and added boost as they make their way past the Dubai Mall, making their way through to the Dubai fountains and, of course, the finale, the Burj Khalifa.
On the finish line with me, the Honourable Saeed Mohammed Harib, the Secretary General of the Dubai Sports Council. What a beautiful morning in Dubai, and so good to see so many international runners. 113 countries taking part here today, close on 4,000 runners. You must be very happy.
First of all, I'd like to say good morning, everybody in the world, and good evening for a place where they are in the evening time. We are here in the other challenge, with other race. Just we finished our Dubai Marathon. Now we are Burj2Burj. What is a Burj? Two icon Burj. Burj Al Arab, one famous Burj in Dubai, and Burj Khalifa, which is everyone knows about it. So with at least today, the number participating, also I am happy with the time which they are doing so far. I think so. This is one of the will be one of the strong race for half marathon.
So there you have it. Thank you very much for all you do, Dubai Sports Council. Dubai welcomes you. We cannot wait to see you here next year. Thank you. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Max. Just a few words there with Saeed Mohammed Harib, who is the Secretary General of Dubai Sports Council. Now, Dubai Sports Council is very much the umbrella of sport for the Emirates of Dubai, and they are very much in charge of all the events that take place within the wonderful Emirate of Dubai. And as you just heard there, Saeed Mohammed Harib mentioning that he feels that the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon is going to be one of the strongest events that Dubai has to offer. And I mean, with the only being the first edition of this event, I think that's a real statement and a true testament to the leadership and also the organizers of this event here today, that, the wonderful work they have put in. Well, the proof is in the pudding, as they say, Kewin, and I think Saeed Mohammed Harib is absolutely right. I do think that this will be one of the strongest and biggest events that the Dubai and the UAE has to offer in the world of running.
Well, the Dubai Sports Council doing fantastic work for the sport and development in the UAE and Dubai in particularly. And, you know, I think Warwick and his team, the race organizers of the Burj2Burj half marathon, I really think that this race has got great potential and not only becoming one of the greatest in the UAE, but perhaps in the world as well. You know, with the first running of this event attracting just under 4,000 participants. I think this next year, not only will the field be a lot bigger, both in the mass race and the elite race, but I think, you know, with more support from different sponsors, we'll see this race really becoming an iconic event on the running calendar, not just for the UAE, but for the world round as well, as we see more athletes coming through to the finish. And just at the back of the picture, you can see an athlete coming through with a bit of a flag on his back, and that's one of the official pacemakers of the race. So for that athlete, they will be the first sub 1 hour 30 pacing group, and although you see 1 hour 33 minutes on your screen, these athletes did start behind the elite athletes, so their time will be a little bit, it says right now, and this first pacing bus coming through bang on target of that sub 90 minute clocking.
And just linking back there, Kieran, to what you were saying about the Dubai Sports Council, they have a real focus on community sport, and it heavily links into the National Sports Strategy of 2031. They've implemented 17 different initiatives to achieve several goals, and in particular one of those is increasing the proportion of people practicing diverse sports to 71% of the population. And with events such as the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon coming into play, well, that's only going to help reach that 71%.
As we see some beautiful visuals of Dubai. And Amy, you are well versed in the UAE and Dubai in particular. What are some of your favorite attractions in this beautiful city?
I mean, there really is so many to select from, especially with the route that the runners have taken this morning. Just a reminder for people that may are just joining us right now, the Burj2Burj run started from the Burj Al Arab, passing the Jumeirah Beach Hotel, then the Sakim Park, alongside the Dubai Public Library, Sakim Night Beach, Kite Beach, Dubai Water Canal, Jumeirah Mosque, Etihad Museum, the Coca-Cola Arena, and then finishing at the wonderful Burj Khalifa. And I mean, the structure of the buildings in the UAE, it really is quite remarkable. The development the country has had over the last 52 years, and the Dubai frame really structures the city, and you can just see through the frame the wonderful Burj Khalifa, which is the finale of the Burj2Burj half marathon, just framing the Burj Khalifa so perfectly there, and the skyline in the wonderful Emirate of Dubai. And there is the finish mark, the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest structure. It's 829 meters, just over half a mile.
Well, beautiful scenes here on the streets of Dubai in the UAE. And Amy, I think, as you mentioned earlier, I think this is quite possibly the only road race in the world, especially over the half marathon distance, where if you had to look up on the skyline, you'd be able to see the finish from the start line. And that is just how big and majestic the Burj Khalifa is. As you mentioned there, 830 meters in the air. It's the tallest structure in the world. And as we saw those earlier pictures of the beautiful skyline of Dubai, that frame that they have built that perfectly puts the Burj Khalifa in frame. What a beautiful sight.
Yeah, it really is. And what another wonderful sight as our runners make their way to the finish line to collect their finishing medal. And it has really been a fast-paced half marathon. We saw our elite category finish earlier on, and some of the scores and timings that they achieved here today is really quite remarkable. And I feel that Ewan, you are a running expert, and I think with this sort of half marathon, what this has to offer, it's really flat. It's in a very, very nice climate at this time of year. It's a really good platform for the elite category to come here and smash out their PBs, really.
Yes, we saw our race winner in the men's race, Enos Kipruto. His winning time of 1 hour, 3 minutes and 28 seconds was a new personal best time for him. So not only did he manage to come and take victory this morning in the race, but he managed to beat his personal best time. And all these athletes now finishing 1 hour, 38 minutes into the race, running well under 5 minutes per kilometer. So for your average runner, or for the viewers watching at home on our YouTube broadcast, if you had to go and run your local park run on a Saturday, the athletes in picture right now are covering that 5 kilometer distance in a shade over 23 minutes for each of those 5 kilometers. Of course, being a half marathon, they're doing 4 of those 5 kilometers back to back with an extra 1 kilometer at the end to make up that 21.1 kilometer official half marathon distance. But yeah, the Burj2Burj half marathon, it's a fast race. It's a flat, not too many twists or turns. It's a really, straight course. Alongside the world, when you see a lot of these half marathons, the more corners there are and twists and turns in the race, it actually slows you down because you are gathering momentum and it breaks your stride pattern. So this race definitely has the potential to be really, really fast, especially in terms of the elites. And I think a nice addition in next year's race for the elites would be to have official pacemakers, as you see in many of the races around the world. And the task of those pacemakers in the half marathon distance, as an example, is to take those leaders through on a specific pace, which they will agree upon the day before in the technical meeting, and run those fast times. And we see it happening all over the world, as we see Irina coming through the finish line there with quite a big rose there, I must say, and a big smile on her face. And perhaps just like we've seen on the men's race, she could have run her personal best time this morning as well. But down on the finish line, Max has another guest.
So Jordi is with me here, the team manager of the Otso team out of Kenya. His 2 winning athletes coming across the line here today and taking the honors for the Otso team. Jordi, you ran today. How was your race?
Well, it was super nice. In fact, I didn't expect so big avenues. Super nice, super well organized. You have water or isotonic every 2.5 kilometers. Super well done. And I'm happy because I did under 1:30, so super beautiful, yeah.
Had a chat to both of the winning athletes today, and they both said they definitely want to come back and defend their titles next year. Will the Otso team be bringing some more athletes next year?
Of course, yeah. If the organizers they permit to come, of course we will come again with at least 4 or 6 athletes from Kenya for sure.
Really good for you to have a half marathon so early in the year, and what better place to have it than the beautiful Dubai?
Yeah, it was the first race of the year for our team, and I don't know the times exactly right now, they will explain me, but I think that they did very well in general. At the end I saw that there were some Ethiopian guys as well, but yeah, the race is perfect. January, it's you start the season, and yeah, it's a good train. For us it's a race, for them it's like a train, but they're preparing the season. I think they did very well, yeah.
And tell me, how have your athletes been treated as elite athletes? Have they been looked after by the team here? Have they been treated first class?
Well, first class, super. The organization, it's crazy, super well done. The hotel was amazing. When they entered the hotel, they said, what is this? When they saw Dubai Dubai that night when we arrived, they were it was a dream for them. It was really a dream.
So there it is from the horse's mouth. Geordie, the team manager for the Otso team out of Kenya. Both his athletes taking the wins in the elite men's and elite women's respectively today. A message to all elite athletes and all team managers out there around the world. Come and join us in 2025. Book it in your calendar, the third weekend of January. We'll see you here.
Yeah, thanks for that, Max. So Max was joined there by the team manager of Otso, Geordie, who pretty much have most of the elite runners here today. And of course, the two winners, Enos Kiprok for the men's elite and Atalina Napul-Gaspar for the women's elite category. And I think just touching on what Max was discussing there with the team manager, Geordie of Otso, talking about the treatment that the elite athletes have had and that it was pretty much a dream come true for them coming here to Dubai, to the United Emirates, to participate within the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. And I think that's really, really important to mention, Kieran. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, Warwick and his team from the Burj2Burj half marathon really, pulling out all the stops here this morning, not just for the mass race, but also for the elite athletes. And, it's quite a big business around the world for these elite athletes to come through. And, great to hear that they've been treated really, really well. And for a lot of these Ethiopians, sometimes it's the first time for them ever just to be on an aeroplane, to leave the country of Kenya. There's so many athletes in Kenya and Ethiopia that just want that opportunity to come out and run a race like the Burj2Burj half marathon. So for the fact that, Enos and Atalina from South Sudan are getting this opportunity and are being treated so world class at this event is, great to hear. And as we mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure that once they go back to South Sudan and to Kenya and Ethiopia, they're going to tell all of their training partners about this race and just how well they were treated. And I think there's going to be an influx of East African athletes at next year's Burj2Burj half marathon. But perhaps Enos himself or Atalina may want to try and keep it a secret, because they'll not only want to come back next year, but they'll be looking at getting that $3,000 prize. But I can tell you, Amy, it's going to be really, really hard work, because once they see the results from this morning all around the world, there's going to be a huge interest in next year's event, particularly from the elite athletes.
Absolutely. And we heard there Geordie, the team manager of Otso, just discussing and mentioning as well that he is keen to bring more athletes and runners out here next year. He will be on the search to bring more and more across and represent Otso as he did today. But as you just said, Enos and Atalina, perhaps they won't be able to have the gap that they did today. It's going to be a real tough job for them to remain top of the table and in first place.
But down on the finish line, as a string of athletes from this 4,000 strong field come through to the finish, down on the finish line, Max has another guest with him.
Here we go. We got Daniel and Vivek with us here. Daniel is the pacer. He was on the 1 hour 39 group. Vivek is with him. Daniel, did you hit your time?
We did hit our time very well. We encouraged the guys, and he's here to just witness it. It was an awesome run here in Dubai. I really thank God for that.
Vivek, how was your run?
Oh, perfect. This is my best time. Like I started around 2016. Within 6 or 7 years, I'm able to finish 3 marathon and so many half marathon. I did Kalba, I did Ajman. Now I'm going to Ras Al Khaimah. So it's my hobby. COVID made me like this. Thank you.
Brilliant. What a blessing. Tell us about a bit about you. Are you local here in Dubai? Are you with the running club?
Yes, I'm here in Dubai. I'm actually a running coach in Kenya running team. here in UAE, we encourage people to run like Kenyans. And because of our running history, we kind of get a stereotype like we can really run. So we try to encourage people to just work out and run. It's not about the genetics. It's all about working, going hard at it, and just putting our all in there.
And your experience here today, you're going to be back next year?
Of course, I'm going to be back here. All the 21 runs, I'm going to be back here again.
There you have it. Thanks, guys. Back to you guys in the studio.
And thanks for that, Max. So one of the pacers out there today, and he's also head of the Kenyan running team here in the United Arab Emirates. And you can just hear there the wonderful words that they have to say about the Burj2Burj half marathon. And in particular as well, other half marathons have been mentioned there, the Kaaba half marathon, the Ajman half marathon, the Ras Al Khaimah half marathon. It's not just in Dubai where we see such events. It is all across the United Arab Emirates. But I have to mention that this half marathon here today, the Burj2Burj, is just so unique and iconic. It really is extremely different to any other half marathon in the country.
Just for this run. You can see all the sponsors are there.
Definitely one of a kind. As we see those beautiful high-rise buildings just on the left of the Burj Khalifa. And you know, we already mentioned earlier on in the broadcast how running brings so many different people together from all nationalities, and 113 different nationalities taking part this morning in the Burj2Burj half marathon. And we saw Max on the finish line there with his guest, the 1 hour 39 minute pacer. And he was from Kenya with his fellow athlete from India. So many different nationalities coming together with that common purpose of going through to the finish and getting that beautiful medal. But as the 4,000 participants are nearing their way through to the finish, if you have only joined now on our broadcast, we had some exciting racing this morning, which set off at the Burj Al Arab at 6 o'clock this morning in Dubai. And let's have a look at some of those highlights. Well, in the Burj Park, this is the athletes' village at the finish. And Amy, what an iconic setting. We've got a live music and entertainment. There is a kids zone as well as a beer garden. Of course, the athletes will be looking forward to having a nice, crisp, ice-cold beer after the race and sharing their war stories from the day's run. And also a whole full running expo for runners with all the different sponsors of the event.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just the finish line. There's also a lot more that the runners and participants and also spectators can enjoy post-race here today. The post-race experience is equally as rewarding, offering an athlete zone with food and beverage for all the family and also live music and entertainment up until 3 p.m. this afternoon in the race village. So if you are joining us on the live broadcast and you do live here in the UAE, get yourself down to the race village right by the Burj Khalifa and enjoy the aftermath, the post-race events. And, well, it really is something special, and witnessing the wonderful first edition of the Burj2Burj half marathon. And also must mention multiple sponsorships that have come down here today. We can see Kibson's providing fresh fruit and juices for all participants, spectators, and the runners here today. And it is all down to sponsorships as well, Q, and it's not just the run itself. There's so much behind the scenes that goes into making what today is, that goes into making what the Burj2Burj half marathon is, whether it's Dubai Sports Council, whether it's the RTA, whether it's the police. It's down to everyone working together, and that's why the UAE can pull off such events as ones today, as people just and organizations work together remarkably to make sure that the event comes off as it is here today.
Yes, the magnitude of sponsors is well versed in the Burj2Burj half marathon, and none of this would be possible without that sponsorship from the very important sponsors. And a lot of the runners will be getting a really nice goodie bag upon crossing that finish line, as well as an official race running belt and the beautiful medal that we saw earlier going across there to the athletes. But this morning is where it all started at 6 a.m. outside the Burj Al Arab Hotel. And although no runners are standing there at the start line at that stage, Amy, soon there were going to be 4,000 athletes standing on the road and looking, all with one common goal: to finish the inaugural Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon.
Yes, and just to highlight, 4,000 runners here today participating in the very first edition of the Burj2Burj half marathon. And just to mention a couple of those key sponsors that have made today possible, of course, Emirates NBD, who are the headline sponsor for the Burj2Burj half marathon. World's Iconic, who are the organisation behind this wonderful initiative, Dubai Sports Council, Dubai Police, RTA, and many, many more to mention. But everybody coming together to make today possible, to make the Burj2Burj half marathon a dream become a reality. And that's really what it is here today, the very first edition, and also a dream to a reality for many of these elite runners, in particular Enos Kiprog, the first men's elite runner, and also Atalina Napul-Gaspar, the first women's elite runner. Quite remarkable, the scenes we have witnessed here today, and we're very, very fortunate, Kieran, to be in the commentary box witnessing every bit of the action and being able to broadcast it to the rest of the world.
Indeed, Amy, it was a beautiful morning out on the streets of Dubai with Enos Kipruto from Kenya, from the team also taking that victory, beating his personal best time to finish in 63.28, while on the ladies' side it was Atalina Napul-Gaspar from South Sudan. Not often we see athletes from South Sudan taking victories around the world in big road races. It's normally the Ethiopians and Kenyans, but Atalina really taking a new page out the book there as she finished ahead of South Africa's Achadestein and to just Worku Anagor from Ethiopia, who rounded off that top three. Beautiful morning here of running. As we see in the front of the race, it was quite strung out, but now as we make our way towards the 2-hour mark into the Burj2Burj half marathon, the masses now starting to fill the streets, and the crowd support getting even bigger at this stage.
Yeah, just building, and now post-run, the athletes making their way to the race village and rightfully having a little bit of a relaxation and also celebrations with their friends and family as they cross the finish line, as multiple nationalities make their way towards the Burj Khalifa. It really is remarkable scenes here in the United Arab Emirates and in the heart of the Emirates of Dubai. And it just means so much, and a real sprint finish there from Jamie, giving it all he has. And it's that last stretch as well, Kieran, in any race, in any run across the world, but in particular within a half marathon, most athletes just have a little bit of gas left in the engine just to give it that real sprint finish. And, well, remarkable scenes, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can be really tired at the end of a half marathon, but that finish line will always bring that extra gear in the legs. But this morning, as we mentioned earlier, some really fast running in the race. This is your men's top three in the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon, the inaugural running of the event. And it was Kenya's Enos Kipruto who took a victory in 1 hour, 3 minutes and 28 seconds. A new personal best time there for the youngster from Kenya by 2 seconds. And he finished ahead ahead of the Ethiopian duo who had a sprint finish at the end there, with the NEU Kumia Kasa getting the better of Haptu Mola Legese, finishing in 1 hour 4 minutes and 33 seconds, just 2 seconds in front of Legese, who rounded off your men's top 3 podium from this morning.
So let's just have a little look now, Kewin, just at the relay. So there are 88 participants or 88 teams participating in the relay. We haven't really mentioned that. We briefly spoke about it earlier on, but I think it is quite remarkable that there's also different elements to the Burj2Burj half marathon. It's not just the half marathon itself. There's also different ways people can get involved. Also, yesterday we did have the Emirates NBD mini marathon for the children as well, and we saw lots of families taking part together within the mini marathon to introduce children into running, which was a 1.2k. But now let's just have a quick focus on the relay race. What's your thoughts about this, Kewin?
Yeah, definitely a whole lot of fun for the entire family, as you mentioned, that 1.2k and the relay race this morning. As we see the women's top 3 there, it was Atalina Napule Gasco from South Sudan who took victory this morning in 1 hour 11 minutes in front of Khadastain, and then just from Ethiopia rounding off that top 3. But yeah, the relay race, we haven't seen much of it this morning. But 88 teams setting out to do their 10.5 kilometers, and I think that was a really good initiative by Warwick and his team to include that in this event, because for some, a half marathon at this stage might be a step too far in distance for a lot of these athletes, but 10.5 kilometers is a lot more feasible for a lot of these athletes that are out on the road. But I'm pretty sure, Amy, that come next year at the Burj2Burj half marathon, we're going to see a lot of the athletes who took part in the relay race this morning running that 10.5 kilometers each, stepping up in distance and saying, I want to be part of the big event next year. Let me attempt a half marathon. And for a lot of them, perhaps next year will be their first ever half marathon. And what a race like the Burj2Burj half marathon to set your first one apart.
Absolutely, it really is a stepping stone to the main event, really, for many taking part within the relay race today. And as you said, I'm sure we will see them step up to the full event next year and take part within the 21k. And multiple runners now just making their way across the finish line, and what an achievement for everyone here today. It really is truly special, with it being the first edition of the Burj2Burj half marathon, something that many of these runners haven't really witnessed here before in the UAE. Very iconic and unique run that has been brought across to the UAE, and in particular Dubai. And I'm sure a bit of a discussion now with the runners, just discussing their thoughts and opinions on the run, and maybe a couple of challenges they may have faced perhaps halfway through the run. Kewin, as a keen runner, can you just give us a bit of an insight to, with a half marathon distance, is there a particular distance where runners start to struggle?
Yeah, Emmy, a half marathon is quite far, not as far as a marathon, of course, but, stepping up from the 5 kilometer distance, the next event that athletes will look at will be a 10 kilometer. And then from 10 kilometers, quite a daunting task for a lot of athletes, because you go all the way from a 10k race straight into a half marathon. And I think, when you get to a half marathon distance, having never run that far, when you get to around about 15 to 16 kilometers, that's generally like in the marathon, where when you get to the 32 kilometer mark, they call it the wall, where a lot of athletes, if you've done the training, you'll be able to climb over that wall. But if you haven't, that wall will bring you down. And I think in a half marathon distance, when you get to around about the 15, 16 kilometer mark, that will generally tell you if you've had enough training, if you've got enough mileage in the legs to get you through to the finish. And if you have been lacking, especially on the long runs and stuff, for your half marathon training, by the time you get to 15 to 16 kilometers, for some, it can be a very tiring and longest 5 kilometers of your life through to the finish. So generally speaking, in a half marathon, from around 15 to 16 Ks, that's where the going really gets tough. But, if you've done a proper training build-up of around 12 weeks for a half marathon, then you shouldn't find it that tough, because generally speaking, whilst you train for a half marathon, in training, your long run will be anywhere between 16 to 18 kilometers in distance for the half marathon, more so for the novice athletes. So generally 16 Ks or so in the half marathon, that's where it will become more a matter of mind over matter, so to speak.
Yeah, real insight there to when the runners perhaps may struggle most during a half marathon. And you were just mentioning there, Kieran, the training is absolutely crucial, but also the nutrition that goes behind a half marathon is absolutely key. I mean, we've seen so many of the athletes and runners here today with gels, with snacks just before and also post-run, but also we have to mention the hydration which comes into account during a half marathon and any run at that. And there is a wonderful initiative with the Burj2Burj half marathon with Human the sponsor for the half marathon. And it's also linking to sustainability. And today the runners have a reusable bottle that can just go in their pouch, or they can put it in the bag or in the side of their pants. And it's absolutely remarkable, because with so many marathons, half marathons, any sporting event really, Kieran, we always see so much plastic scattered across the city or the Emirates afterwards. And with this new initiative with Human, it really is quite remarkable the difference that the Burj2Burj half marathon is bringing, not just for the run itself, not just for the athletes, but also ticking the box of sustainability, which is absolutely crucial in today's world.
Definitely, Amy. The Burj2Burj half marathon really doing a lot of firsts and really great initiatives, as we see a lot of the female athletes there picking up some beautiful roses in the finish straight. But the Burj2Burj half marathon really reducing their carbon footprint, on the event, and beautiful initiatives from the sponsor there with the reusable bottles for the runners' hydration. And hydration, as you mentioned, Amy, really, really important in an event like the Burj2Burj half marathon. And along the way, there were 6 water stations offering all of the athletes different choices of hydration, and some extra gels and a few chocolates along the way, because to get the energy to run a half marathon, you really need to be well prepared. And sometimes drinking too much is even worse than drinking too little. So it's more a case of finding that balance. As we see the athlete there just taking the rows, running with a hydration pack. There's another athlete there with a hydration pack on their back. So athletes also themselves are making a difference to reduce that carbon footprint in events like the Burj2Burj half marathon.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, it's all the water spots and the snack spots across the Burj2Burj half marathon have all been strategically placed as well to ensure at key parts of this half marathon, athletes have an opportunity to just quickly hydrate and replenish their energy, really. But it is quite remarkable what the organisation has done to ensure that the athletes and runners have everything they need to get their personal best here today and have a wonderful experience. And as the runners just make their way in the Burj Khalifa Park, with the Burj Khalifa towering over, it's the shadows of the Burj Khalifa that are pretty much cooling the athletes right now. And what a finish line it is, Kieran. Really is quite remarkable for all that are taking part here today to be here at the finish line.
A beautiful race venue, and I think, definitely one of a kind in the world of distance running, with that beautiful Burj Khalifa towering in the background, the tallest building or object, so to speak, in the world. 828.9 meters, but in the race village next to the finish line, this is where all the fun is about. You can see the team here, Pakistan road runners, we mentioned earlier, 113 different nationalities, and those athletes making the trek to Dubai from Pakistan for the Burj2Burj half marathon, looking very chuffed with their race this morning, with those beautiful medals around their neck. And Amy, this is where the action will be now after these athletes have crossed the finish line in that race village. It may be too early to crack a beer at this stage, but for some, they will say to you, I've just done a half marathon, I deserve it.
Well, I think it's definitely not too early queuing for these runners here today. They all deserve an ice cold beer, that's for sure. And I'm sure there'll be a few cans cracked open as they make way into the race village, and rightly so, they deserve a nice cold one to celebrate with fans and friends and family, that's for sure.
Well, the mass of athletes coming across the line there. We see Lauren and Michael posing for their pictures, and I'm pretty sure a lot of these photos of the athletes from that race village and from along the course will definitely be on Instagram, because as they say, if it's not on Instagram, did it even happen? So a lot of social media buzz going along the finish there. But as the throng of athletes make their way across the finish line, we'll go down to the finish line to Max Clear, who has some athletes with him. But Amy, as you see, more athletes are coming through the line here. And I must say, I have a bit of FOMO sitting in the commentary studio here and not out on the road. But down on the finish line, Max is now ready.
Thanks very much, everybody. And this is what the finish line scenes look like here at the very first Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. The athletes still streaming across the line behind me. The sun is coming up and it's going to be an absolutely beautiful day. We've still got just under an hour. But from the people here on the finish line, a massive shout out to the running community of Dubai, a massive shout out to Dubai in general. You've been absolutely fantastic. You've outdone yourself, and you certainly have been showing off today. I cannot wait to come back here next year, and I look forward to seeing all of you then. Let's go back to the studio and end off this fantastic party.
Yeah, thanks, Max. And just touching on what you just said there, the running community of the UAE is quite remarkable. And also, just to mention, it's not just the event here today, it's also the lead up and the build up to today's Burj2Burj half marathon. World's iconic. They actually built a Burj2Burj running club in the build up to today's half marathon, encouraging participants from across the UAE to practice, whether it was a 5K, a 10K, or a half marathon, building them up to take part in today's event. And I think that really goes to show the community value that World's Iconic and the Burj2Burj half marathon have, and that is really their key focus in building a community here in the UAE. And well, they've done so much for the athletes and runners, whether it's pre, post, or during the run. And I have to say, hats off to World's Iconic and the Burj2Burj half marathon, because they really have established a quite remarkable and very, very unique event here in the United Arab Emirates.
Very unique indeed, as we see another of the Pakistan Roadrunners club there, and Umar and Clarita and Mars posing there with their beautiful medals. I must say that those medals are really, really stunning. So hats off to Warwick and his team for coming through. We've seen a lot of athletes now on the finish line taking those precious selfies with their medals. as the time now just over 2 hours and 11 minutes into the first running of the 2024 Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. And a lot of excited athletes there, not only excited for finishing the race, but beginning to share their war stories from the road. And we mentioned earlier, Amy, how running brings everyone together. I'm pretty sure that many of these athletes would never have known each other from a bar of soap on the start line, but those friendships have now been built along the way. And perhaps we'll see a lot of them training together for next year's event.
Yeah, and that really is the beauty of running and also a half marathon, the friendships that can be built on the race course, on the running track, you know, side by side next to people that you've never met before. And then once you cross that finish line, you become lifelong friends and start to build a real community. And we've really seen Pakistan road runners, multiple and many runners from their club participating here today, a real representation of the Pakistan Road Runners Club. And we see many road runners clubs being established here. We also spoke to the head coach of the Kenyan running club here in the United Arab Emirates, and it really is becoming such a popular sport, not only in the UAE but across the world. Kieran, and you're a South African, and I'm sure in your country there are many half marathons and marathons now being established within your country too.
Yes, the road running scene in South Africa definitely big. I can tell you that there is in the 11 different provinces in South Africa, there is almost every single weekend there is a different race, be it a 5 kilometer, be it a half marathon, all the way up to the iconic Comrades Marathon, 89 kilometers in distance, where 20,000 crazy people come together on the day to run 90 kilometers, the world's largest and oldest ultra marathon. But these athletes this morning conquering an ultra of their own, so to speak, for a lot of these athletes who will be running their first ever half marathon. But as the thousands of athletes come through across the line, we'll catch a short ad break, but don't go away. We'll be back just after this.
Welcome back to the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon. We've already seen the elite categories cross the line, and now the public and the community are making way to the finish line, which is at the quite remarkable world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa.
Well, these runners are starting just after the elite athletes who went off this morning at 6 a.m. So you can take around 3 to 4 minutes off their time. So around about a time of 2 hours and 12 minutes. So just a pace of over 6 minutes a kilometer for these athletes. So no slouch at all with their running. As we see a lot of the athletes there, arms around each other, hands in the air in jubilation. But if you missed this morning's action, let's take a quick look at Cap. So this morning the event started at 6 a.m. and let's have a quick look at those race highlights from this morning where 4,000 athletes converged outside the Burj Al Arab Hotel, the only 7-star hotel in the world. It was a hive of activity on the start line as the small but quality elite field of athletes lined up there at the start, and that was Habtu Mola Legese in the yellow vest, who was looking very, very serious this morning, Amy, as he was about to make his way on the very fast and flat iconic course between two iconic landmarks in Dubai.
Yes, so the start was at the iconic Burj Al Arab, shaped like a sail. The Burj Al Arab is a luxurious, iconic building standing at 321 meters. And it really shows the Dubai's commitment to luxurious tourism and really symbolizes the city's opulence. And they made way towards the Burj Khalifa from there. And as you can see, it was pitch black, but the shimmering skyline and the street lights shone the way until the sunrise as they approached the Burj Khalifa towards the end. And these runners would have had to have been up pretty early. Go ahead, Kewan.
A very fast start by our elite athletes there this morning, with Josephat Kiplis from Kenya taking it out. And we saw almost a bit of a false start there at the start with Khadistain and some of the ladies a little bit confused there. But once the going got going, they really started hard. And it was a surprise at this stage, Amy, to see South Africa's Khadistain already being left behind. But that was just showing how fast these elite women had started.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, what a finish for Gerda Steyn. She really grasped on to that second place finish here this morning. It was quite remarkable, the gap she then built from third place. And she took the prize money of $2,000 by storm. Second place and $2,000. It's not bad for a morning's work, is it, Kewan?
Not bad for morning's work indeed, and that $3,000 first place was what Eneyu Kumea Kasa and Habtu Mola Legese, the two Ethiopians in your picture, were trying to look at. But up front, it was all about Enos Kipruto Sart, the young Kenyan who made the trek from Iten, a small farming community 32 kilometers outside Eldoret, one of the major districts in Kenya. And he made the trip here, as did Atalina Napule Gaspo from South Sudan, who, just like Enos in the men's race, took the lead by the scruff of its neck just after 5 kilometers. And although there were quite a number of look back and glances, it was not to be, as Enos Kipruto Sart took the inaugural victory, and Amy forever going down in history as the first winner of the Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon.
Yeah, extra special indeed, and that will stay with them for the rest of their lives, and they'll try and keep hold of that top spot for years to come. They've all mentioned, especially first place Enos and Atalina, they have said that they will be back next year and they will be here to try and keep their top spot and still be crowned champions next year.
All the beautiful, iconic skyscraper buildings there of the Dubai skyline, and that finish outside the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. And as we mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, probably the only half marathon in the world where you can actually see the finish line in the distance. Of course, that 828 meter skyline of the Burj Khalifa, the runners looking at that and knowing that right at the bottom of that building is the finish line. But it was all about the South Sudanese athlete Atalina Napule Gaspore, who after 5 kilometers took that lead and at this stage had built quite a commanding lead over the second place athlete, who by this stage after 20 kilometers was South Africa's Gerda Steyn, who had come through the field quite dramatically towards the end of the race. But with Enos Kipruto-Sod taking victory in the men's race up front, it was a sprint finish for second and third between the two Ethiopians, Akasa and Legese, with Akasa just getting the better of Legese by 2 seconds, finishing in 1 hour, 4 minutes and 34 seconds for that second place. There we saw the women's winner Atalina Napule Gaspore, 1 hour, 11 minutes and 25 seconds, picking up that $3,000. And Amy, you could see she was very, very tired, but she was elated with that victory this morning.
Yeah, absolutely gassed as she crossed the finish line, and rightly so. She was so consistent throughout this morning's run, and that's why she claimed that top spot, and rightly so. And as crowds start to build at the bottom of the Burj Khalifa, the Burj Khalifa, of course, just towering over our runners as they make their way past the finish line and celebrate with friends, family, and perhaps new friends that they have made during their run here today. And let's not forget to mention all the sponsors that we've had here for the race. And sorry, Hugh, and just mentioning the sponsors there, we can see Skechers, Oakley, of course, Emirates, NBD, all their sponsorship flags that are here today, and they've supported the Burj2Burj half marathon, and they really believe in the vision and what the Burj2Burj half marathon sets out to do.
Well, beautiful scenes here at the finish of the inaugural Emirates NBD Burj2Burj half marathon, and a beautiful morning out here where we saw almost 4,000 athletes taking the streets of Dubai. And I must say, being in the commentary studio together with you, Amy, has been an honor this morning, just as it was for our race winners, Enos and Atalina, in the women's race, being part of the history of the first running of the Burj2Burj half marathon. I'll leave the parting words of the broadcast this morning to you, Amy.
Yes, we would just like to thank everybody who has come down here today to participate within the Burj2Burj half marathon, one of the world's most iconic half marathons. It is the very first edition, and well, we would just like to say thank you to everybody who has been involved to make the dream become a reality for World's Iconic. And well, I'm sure we will see much more next year with the Burj2Burj half marathon. Mabruk to our champions within the elite category, Enos Kiprok for the men's and Atalina Napule Gaspore. They have claimed the top spot and first place within the first edition of the Burj2Burj half marathon. We like to say thank you to you all. We hope you have a wonderful day, and to all our runners, we hope you enjoy your celebrations, and congratulations once again for participating and crossing the finish line at the Burj2Burj half marathon. Mabruk, masalama.